Dear learners, I welcome you all to the course on understanding human rights. Uh, in the previous class, we discussed about the directive principles of a state policy and what is the significance of directive principle of a state policy so far as the achievement of the goal of socio-economic democracy in the country is concerned. Now we are going to discuss the fundamental duties enshrined in the Constitution of India. As we mentioned in our previous lectures, rights and duties go together. Every right has a corresponding duty. So while discussing the nature of human rights in our first 2-3 lectures, we were highlighting this point that rights and duties go together, and without performing our duties, without discharging our duties, and without respecting the rights of others, that is the duty upon all of us, that we have to respect the rights of others. So therefore, we cannot realize human rights in the real sense of the term. So that's why it is said rights and duties go together. We also discussed that non-Western perspective of human rights is duty-based. We discussed, the concept of dharma and karma in Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Islam. All we discussed that what kind of what kind of duties have been assigned to the people or the followers, and it is found that if we perform all our duties, the rights will be naturally taken care of. So that's why they are duty-based traditions. Striking a balance between rights and duties is essential to enjoy human rights. So, on the two competing claims that the Western tradition is right-based, perspective, that the right-centric, rather you can say, that is the human rights perspective of the West, whereas the non-Western perspective is duty-based, most of the time. But here what we have to understand that rather than creating a binary, we should strike a balance between rights and duties because both are important. So, and they are essential, this striking a balance between both is essential for the enjoyment of human rights. The fundamental duties in the Constitution of India are basically the moral obligations the citizens are expected to perform. One cannot enforce their fundamental duties legally. So, what is there? That there are subsequent legislation that many, duties are there, and the attached legislation is also there. Attending legislation you have to see. So we cannot say that all duties are just moral obligations. There are certain duties they are to be performed in all circumstances. So here fundamental duties in the Constitution of India are basically, that was designed to be moral obligations of the citizens, and it cannot be legally justiciable. One cannot enforce these fundamental duties legally. The 42nd Amendment Act 1976 added the fundamental duties to the Constitution. It was not there in the original Constitution of India, so it has been inserted in the Constitution through an amendment. And it is again important to mention that it is borrowed from the Constitution of the former USSR. It brings our Constitution, again this is important, it brings our Constitution in line with Article 29 of the UDHR, which states, everyone has the duties to the community in which alone the free and full development of his personality is possible. So, everyone has the duties to the community in which alone the free and full development of his personality is possible. It has been mentioned. So that's why now you'll find what is our duties according to the Constitution of India, the duties of the citizens that we are going to discuss. So accordingly, fundamental duties were introduced in Article 51A, which entails following provisions. Now we are going to discuss the provisions of fundamental duties. A. To abide by the Constitution and respect its ideals and institutions, the national flag and the national anthem. So you just ponder over the words, and you should mark the words. First of all, abide by the Constitution. It is the duty of every citizen of India to abide by the Constitution. So the supremacy of Constitution is there in the country, and that's why every citizen of India has a fundamental duty to abide by the Constitution and respect its ideals. So, what are the ideas that are there in the constitution? For example, secularism, socialism, you see republican form of government, federalism, etc. And then the legal, social, economic, political justice, principle of non-discrimination, equality, etc. All these are there. So, the respects its ideals and institutions, all the institutions that have been created by the constitution, like Parliament of India, for example, like the judiciary, for example, you see, all these are important and they are to be respected. And then the national flag, there is already a protocol that is there for the respect of the national flag. And those protocols are to be also known to all the people, that how to respect the national flag. And the national anthem, you see, the national anthem is also important. And the national anthem is Jan Gan Man Adhyanak Jai, but you also should see many judgments that are there delivered by the high courts and the Supreme Court, that how to respect them. Remember, national anthem is Jan Gan Man Adhyanak Jai, and all other national songs like Sare Jahan Se Acha, or the Vande Mataram, they all are national song. So the constitution is what the constitution is saying. So unnecessary controversy cannot be created on these issues, because the constitution is very much clear that to abide by the constitution and respect its ideals and institutions, the national flag and the national anthem, this is the responsibility and duty of every citizen of India. Then, to cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom. So, again, you see, to cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspire our national struggle for freedom. So, what were those cherished, those noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom? Of course, the unity of the people, integrity of the nation, national integration that you say. So, unity and integrity of the people and the nation. Then, freedom, equality, democracy, all these are important. Rights, liberty. So, they all were the noble ideals which inspired our national freedom struggle for freedom. To uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity, and integrity of India. So, this is the duty of every citizen of India, and I think this duty is there, whether it is mentioned or not, in all the countries of the world, that it is the responsibility of every citizen living in anywhere, in any country of the world, to protect the sovereignty, unity, and integrity of his or her own country. To defend the country and render national service when called upon to do so. So, if our nation is facing any kind of challenge, whether it is external aggression or whatever, so it is the duty of every citizen to defend the country and render national service when called upon to do so. Then, to promote harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood amongst all the people of India. Again, you see that India is a diverse country. It is a multilingual country. It's a multi-religious country. It's a multi-ethnic country, multicultural country. So that's why, conflicts are bound to arise in the country. But what is to be done, that diversity is to be not only accepted, but it is to be celebrated, to promote harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood among all the people of India, transcending religious, linguistic, and regional or sectional diversities, or to renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women. It has been also included. So, to renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women, that have been especially mentioned here. So, many cultural traits which are, derogatory to the dignity of women, they must be abandoned. And that's why, it has been especially mentioned, to promote harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood. It is the duty of every citizen of India. So, hate mongering is something that is violation of this duty. Creating strife and division between the communities is violation of this duty. So, to promote harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood and amongst all the people of India, transcending religious, linguistic, and regional or sectional diversities, and to renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women. Again, to value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. So the rich heritage of our composite culture is to be valued and it is to be preserved. For this, what is composite culture? You have to see many, many judgments that have been delivered by the Supreme Court of India. Then, to protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, and wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures. You see, reflecting the Indian values, our civilizational values, you'll find what is to be there, and also ensuring right to, clean environment, etc. So, to protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, and wildlife, you see, that is the duty of every citizen of India. So these days, when we are talking about environmental rights, this particular fundamental duty becomes very, very important and relevant in that context. So what is the duty of every citizen? To protect and improve the natural environment, including forest, lakes, rivers, and wildlife. It means, if we are performing this duty, then deforestation, no forestation, that can be discouraged. And then to lakes, rivers, and wildlife, they are to be also improved and protected and preserved, and to have compassion for living creatures. You see, that is already there in our ancient Indian civilizational values, so that is being highlighted. To develop the scientific temper, humanism, and the spirit of inquiry and reform. So, India is a modern nation state, and that's why the critical thinking, critical reasoning, scientific temper, that is to be developed. We should not suffer, the citizens should not suffer from superstition, orthodoxy, conservatism. So that's why to develop the scientific temper, critical reasoning, of course, humanism, and the spirit of inquiry and reform. To safeguard public property and to abjure violence. So again, the principle of non-violence should be there in our day-to-day life. That should be the part and parcel of our daily habit. To strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity, so that the nation constantly rises to higher levels of endeavor and achievement. Of course, ambitious dream, but you see that it is to strive towards excellence. That is the responsibility or duty of every citizen of this country, because if the people are trying to achieve excellence, of course, nation as a whole will prosper. Now, who is a parent or guardian to provide opportunities for education to his child, or as the case may be, ward between the age of 6 and 14 years? And here it is important to mention that the 86th Amendment of 2001 to the Constitution of India has added the 11th fundamental duty. Earlier, there were only 10 duties incorporated by the 42nd Amendment. Now, after discussing these duties, of course, there may be moral obligations, but in many, many cases, they are invoked in the judgments of the judiciary, and they are also invoked by the citizens who claim, certain spaces, for example, the scientific temper and the spirit of inquiry, etc. Also, you see the things like the respect should be paid to national flag and national anthem, and that's why others cannot impose other things upon the individuals. So that way, these kind of duties are always invoked, and that's why they may be moral obligations, but at the same time, these duties are trying to protect the rights of the individuals as well. And that's why it has been rightly observed that rights and duties go together. After this, we are going to discuss the institutional mechanism to promote and protect human rights in India. So what are the institutional mechanism? So far as we were discussing the constitutional provisions. Now the institutional mechanism that India has developed to promote and protect human rights, we are going to discuss. Harold J. Lasky observed that a state is known by the rights it maintains. So what is the yardstick to judge the state? That it is the right that a state maintains. So besides legal and constitutional provisions, a robust institutional mechanism is considered crucial to promote and protect human rights. So not only legal provisions, constitutional provisions are enough for the protection and promotion of human rights. What is required additionally is a strong institutional mechanism, very effective institutional mechanism for the monitoring of the safeguard that have been provided to citizens and also to protect the rights that have been provided to them. International human rights mechanisms have been included in the domestic laws of most of the nations. So you see that all the international human rights mechanism, if you see, they also emphasize that these provisions that are there in those institutional mechanism or international mechanism of human rights, instruments of human rights, they should be reflected or they should be corresponded in the national institutions as well. So that is why this is important. We find in our country, first of all, the Supreme Court of India is the custodian of the rights and liberties of citizens. So it is the duty of the Supreme Court of India to protect the rights and duties of citizens. So judiciary is first of all the protector and promoter of the rights of the citizens. Besides judicial protection, High Court, Judiciary, Supreme Court, besides judicial protection, it provides, the Constitution provides for the creation of the, India. Besides judicial protection, it means India provides for the creation of the National Human Rights Commission and states human rights commissions in states and human rights courts for better protection and promotion of human rights. So that is there. In addition to NHRC, India has created many other institutions, commissions to promote and protect human rights of the specific groups. Realizing the fact that all human beings are, all citizens are not equal. There are certain groups or segments of the society, they have typical problems and they have, so that is why they need a special safeguards. So this is the reason that besides NHRC, the institutional mechanism to promote the human rights of all or protect human rights of all, we have certain other commission and institution to protect the rights of the different segments of the Indian population. Now we are going to discuss the National Human Rights Commission. You see, the National Human Rights Commission, the NHRC of India, is a statutory body established to protect and promote human rights in the country. It came into force on October 12, 1993. The NHRC operates as an autonomous institution working to address violations of human rights and ensure justice for victims. So it is an important institution for the protection of human rights. The headquarters of the NHRC is located in New Delhi. You can see the website of the NHRC. If there is violation of human rights, people can directly approach the NHRC. And I am telling you that it is my own experience. If you try to write to the NHRC, it is responding in all cases. If you write to them, they will approach you. So that is why this is a body institutional mechanism that tries to protect and promote. We can understand the limitation of the NHRC, keeping in view all kind of scenarios, but still you can appreciate the work of NHRC that it is responding. So if you see the website of the NHRC, you will find the complaint, how to make complaint, and what kind of remedial measures that are being provided by the NHRC, that is also there. So the NHRC is now a very much part of the life of the country and increasingly of consequence to the quality of its governance. Awareness of the rights granted by the Constitution and included in the international instruments to which India is a state party has increased dramatically in the country. As per Section 3 of the Act, that is NHRC Act, the Commission shall consist of 5 members. One chairperson who has been a Chief Justice of India, you see. So when for example, if the former Chief Justice of India is, getting this coveted position of the NHRC, that is the chairperson, it carries a lot of weight. One member who is or has been a judge of Supreme Court, again important. One member who is or has been the Chief Justice of High Court. 2 members being from people among having the knowledge of human right and have practical experience. So you see, the chairperson of the National Commission for Minorities is the ex officio member of the NHRC. The chairperson of the National Commission for Scheduled Caste is the ex officio member. The chairman of the National Commission for Scheduled Tribe is an ex officio member. The chairperson of the National Commission for Women is ex officio member. And the chairperson of the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, a special invitee to a statutory full commission. The chairperson of the National Commission for Backward Classes is ex officio member. It is the chairperson of the National Commission for Backward Classes. The chief commissioner for persons with disabilities is also the ex officio member. So, this is the composition of the NHRC. Now you see the terms of the office of the member. The terms of the office for the NHRC members have undergone a recent change. The chairperson holds office for a term of 3 years or until they reach the age of 70 years, whichever is earlier. Members hold office for a term of 3 years or until they reach the age of 70 years, whichever is earlier. Now you see what are the important functions that have been assigned to the NHRC and how they are significant from the point of view of promotion and protection of human rights in the country. The Commission shall inquire suo motu or on a petition presented to it by a victim or any person on his behalf, into complaint of a violation of human rights or abatement thereof or negligence in the prevention of such violation by a public servant. The Commission may intervene in any proceeding involving any allegation of violation of human rights pending before a court with the approval of such court. That is also interesting. The Commission shall visit under intimation to the state government any jail or any other institution under the control of the state government where persons are detained or lodged for purposes of treatment, reformation or protection to study the living conditions of the inmate and make recommendations thereon. The Commission shall review the safeguards provided by or under the Constitution or any law for the time being in force for the protection of human rights and will recommend measures for their effective implementation. The Commission shall review the factors including acts of terrorism that inhibit exercise of one's human rights. We were discussing, the relation between terrorism, counter-terrorism and human rights violations. So here you see the Commission shall review the factors including acts of terrorism that inhibit exercise of one's human rights as well as the safeguards currently in force and make appropriate recommendations. The Commission shall study the treaties and other international instruments on human rights and make recommendations for their effective implementation. So you see it has a connection with the the international obligation of human rights as well. The Commission will undertake and promote research in the field of human rights. So, many studies have been conducted by the NHRC. You will find its guidelines, its study material that is there, quite rich. The Commission shall spread human rights literacy among various sections of society and promote awareness of the safeguards available for the protection of these rights through publications, media, seminars, and other available means. The Commission shall encourage the efforts of non-governmental organizations and institutions working in the field of human rights. The Commission may perform any other function it may consider necessary for the promotion of human rights. So, this is all about National Human Rights Commission. Now we are going to deal with the National Commission for Minorities. As we pointed out that NHRC is there for the protection and promotion of human rights of all citizens of the country. Now you have some other commissions that have been created by the Government of India and they are for the protection of the rights of specific groups. So we are going to deal with National Commission for Minorities. The Union Government set up the National Commission for Minorities under the National Commission for Minorities Act 1992. It is also important to mention here that this was the year when the United Nations adopted the Declaration on Minorities. Initially, 5 religious communities, that is Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Buddhists and Zoroastrians, that is Parsis, were notified as minority communities by the Union Government. Further wide notification dated 27th January 2014, Jains were also notified as another minority community. So now, earlier there were five religious minorities. For the purposes of the National Commission for Minorities recognized at the national level, now the Jains have been also included under it. So now the six religious minorities are there under the purview of the National Commission for Minorities. Union government constituted National Commission of Minorities New Delhi, and state government constituted state minorities commissions in their respective state capitals. These organizations are set up to safeguard and protect the interest of minorities, of course, religious minorities, as provided in the Constitution of India and laws enacted by the Parliament and the state legislatures. Composition of NCM, just see. As per Section 3(2) of the NCM Act 1992, the Commission consists of a chairperson, a vice chairperson, and five other members. So that is in total of seven persons to be nominated by the central government from amongst persons of eminence, ability, and integrity. You see. So for the chairperson of the NHRC, he must be the former Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of India. And here what is happening? And the member, you see, the former Chief Justice of High Court is also the member of the NHRC. Here, who will be the member or the chairman? What is the qualification? That the government from amongst persons of eminence, ability, and integrity. So it is not must that they should be from that kind of background. And that is quite problematic. Sometimes you'll find that the people who have not done anything in the field of minority rights, they can be also appointed. So that's why when the people are coming from the background, for example, somebody who has been the Chief Justice of India, or that coveted position if he held in the past, or somebody who has been a judge of the High Court or the Supreme Court, if that those kind of persons are acquiring this position or occupy the chair of the NCM, that makes a lot of difference. Now, each member holds office for a period of 3 years from the date of assumption of office. As per Section 9(1) of the NCM Act 1992, the Commission is required to perform following functions. So, what are the functions? Evaluation of the progress of the development of the minorities under the Union and states, monitoring of the working of the safeguards for minorities provided in the Constitution and in laws enacted by Parliament and the state legislatures, making recommendations for the effective implementation of safeguards for the protection of the interest of minorities by the central government or the state governments, looking into specific complaints regarding deprivation of rights and safeguards of minorities, and taking up such matters with the appropriate authorities, getting studies to be undertaken into the problems arising out of any discrimination against minorities, and recommending measures for their removal, conducting studies, research, and analysis on the issues relating to socio-economic and educational development of minorities, suggesting appropriate measures in respect of any minority to be undertaken by the central government or the state governments, making periodical or special reports to the central government or any matter pertaining to minorities, and in particular the difficulties confronted by them, and any other matter which may be referred to it by the central government. So that is all about the National Commission for Minorities. So you found that India has also developed the implementation mechanism, or what we call institutional mechanism, for safeguarding the rights of the people in general. That is National Human Rights Commission. That is a body to promote and protect the human rights of all Indian citizens. Then we discussed about the National Commission for Minorities. There are specific groups in the country, and that is why the National Commission for Minorities was created, to monitor the safeguards that have been provided to minorities, how they are being implemented, and if there is any violation, then the National Commission of Minorities is a body where you can lodge a complaint. It is dealing with the rights of religious minorities, the six religious minorities we have already mentioned. So with this, we are going to conclude our lecture on the fundamental duties and then on the institutional mechanism. In our next lecture, we are going to discuss other institutional mechanism to protect and promote human rights in India. So thank you very much. We are waiting in the next lecture to discuss National Commission for the Scheduled Caste and then other commissions. Thank you very much.